So let's talk about abortion.
I wish we didn't have to talk about it. It is a ghastly thing.
But you think we need to talk about it?
We need to talk about ghastly things when nobody else is. Abortion, it's a of helpless little babies. 70, 80, perhaps 90,000 of them every year. It is barbaric. It's a moral catastrophe. And by the way, I'm not the only doctor in this country who thinks this.
They kill and wound and even maim. No one is cured. How pathetic to have a career based on killing. This is an abuse of our training, of our patients, and leads to a loss of trust in our great health professions. Health workers, stop it, as we have science and the truth on our side, that abortion is murder and not medicine, and you all know that.
Look, I know that there are people in difficult circumstances, people who desperately didn't want to get pregnant, but I refuse to believe that killing is a solution to that. There's someone in a hard situation, so let's help them through it by killing their child.
We're supposed to be a civilised society, and yet we seek out a violent solution to difficult circumstances. It is violent, isn't it?
It's inherently violent. It's an act of killing, whether it's done by suction, which is the most common method, or by some other method. The end result is a small human body lying in pieces in a pool of blood. There are videos on the internet. Don't watch them if you can't handle it. But please do not turn your back on this atrocity that goes on in our midst day in, day out.
So why do doctors do it?
I don't know. It goes against everything that we're supposed to be about. We're meant to save life, preserve life, not destroy it. The Hippocratic Oath, which is the foundation document of medicine, it says, I will not administer a poison to anyone, and I will not give a woman an abortion. Killing, euthanasia, abortion, all these things are contrary to the core values of being a physician.
What about the argument that abortion should be safe and legal?
No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be safe to kill somebody.
Well, what they say to that is that they'll go and do it somewhere else, and then it won't be safe.
Well, there actually isn't a whole lot of evidence showing that this is true. Backyard abortion, it's largely a mythical thing. Historically, when abortion was illegal in a country like Australia, most people who really wanted one got it done by a doctor, but it was hush-hush. But either way, people will do it anyway, so let's make it safe. That principle is morally bankrupt. Let's make it safe to rob a bank, or let's make it safe to hijack an airplane,
It is currently legal though, isn't it?
Yes, it is, sadly. It's legal. And that is unlikely to change anytime soon. Law is downstream of culture, and before we can even think of dealing with the law, we need to work on the culture. That's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of prayer. This is a very long-term project. The more secularized that our culture becomes, as the moral framework of Christianity recedes from the West, that job gets harder and harder. But we've got to stick at it. When we're dealing with an atrocity, an abuse of humanity on this scale, we can't just give up. And we won't. Christians in the past, they used to rescue babies that were dumped and left to die back in ancient Rome. And they worked on that culture until these barbaric practices eventually became unacceptable. And eventually the practices were outlawed by the Roman emperors. It took centuries, but they did it. And we are going to do it again now. And this time we've got a few advantages, such as biological knowledge about when human life begins. And of course, things like ultrasound, which prove what everybody knows, which is that we're dealing with people here, not parasites or clumps of cells.
So is abortion an unforgivable sin?
No. The scandal of the Christian gospel is that it doesn't matter what terrible things that you have done, God will forgive you if you go to him in repentance. It doesn't matter what you've done, if you're a convicted killer, a cocaine dealer, an arsonist, a rapist. We are all sinners according to the Bible, according to Jesus. We all deserve hell and we all need to be forgiven. And Jesus paid the price for all sin. So a woman who's had abortions, or doctors who've done abortions, if they go to God, say sorry, ask for forgiveness, they will be saved. There's a guy called Anthony Levatino, a gynecologist. He did over 1,000 abortions in his career, but he realised what he was doing. He had a crisis of conscience and he stopped. Now he's vocally pro-life. His story is very powerful.
When Heather, our adopted daughter, was just 2 months shy of her 6th birthday, she was killed in an auto accident. And having lost a child, that really changed my outlook on abortion tremendously. See, at that point, for several years before that, I was doing second trimester D&E abortions. I did over 100 of them, and they're pretty gruesome. They're very gruesome. But you can get used to anything when you're committed to the cause. And I did. But after losing Heather, doing a second trimester D&E abortion was just too darn difficult, and I stopped. And as I tell people, you know, when you're doing an abortion, when you finally figure out in here, not just here, that killing a baby this big for money is wrong, and it doesn't take you too awfully long to figure out, it doesn't matter if the baby's even this big, it's all the same. And in February of 1985, I stopped doing abortions. Well, the ex-abortionist walked into a pro-life potluck dinner and the place absolutely went dead quiet because these people knew who I was. And a lot of them didn't know I had stopped doing abortions. We ended up spending an hour and a half at the pro-life potluck dinner. Guess what? These people weren't kooks. They understood the medicine, they understood the law. They were giving of their time sacrificially and voluntarily to stop what they saw as the biggest human rights abuse of our time. And we were very impressed with this, and that's how we got involved in the pro-life movement.